The Green Bay Packers set the standard for the National Football League in the first two Super Bowls, defeating their AFL opponents by a combined score of 68-24. In Super Bowl III, the Baltimore Colts embraced the task of upholding that overpowering tradition as they faced the AFL's New York Jets.
We never recognized the American Football League, never watched their games. I'd never seen Joe Namath throw a football until the warm-ups prior to that game.
We had an excellent football team.
We laughed at their defense because we just honestly believed we could score 40 or 50 points against them.
We had the best defense in the AFL that year, and we didn't particularly care about the way we were made heavy underdogs.
The whole NFL thing was riding on us, that these upstarts actually were going to play against us, and we were 15-1. We had just played Cleveland in Cleveland, had beaten them 34-0 for the NFL title, and now we were going to finish up as the greatest team in history.
But the Jets' flashy quarterback sent out a challenge at a pregame banquet.
We didn't get enough credit team-wise, I didn't think, and I was just angry with the media. And I remember standing there that night, some guy in the back of the dinner yelled out something about the Colts going to do us in, and I said, hey, wait a minute, you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, we have a fine football team. In fact, we're going to win the game, I guarantee you. Now, I didn't plan that. It might not even been me saying it, It could have been the football god somehow saying it. It just came.
It came unwanted by his coach, Weeb Eubank.
Well, I could have shot him because he upset everything that I had done.
We, of course, used it at that time to try to get our football team even more excited about the game.
I told Coach Eubank, I said, Weeb, look, if they need something to fire them up at this point, they are in trouble.
Namath's prophecy came true early.
You could tell in the first quarter that if we didn't get something going, that we were getting ready to lose a football game. I mean, it was just the way things were turning out. It seemed like it was going to be a comedy of errors.
While the Colts could find nothing to laugh about in their ineffectiveness, Joe Namath was putting a smile on the Jets' faces. He launched an attack that chipped away at Baltimore's vaunted defense with Matt Snell's powerful rushing and George Sauer's acrobatic catches. Suddenly, a game that was expected to be one-sided to the Colts' favor was being systematically dominated by the brash team from the other league.
Namath on a handoff to Matt Snell. Snell at the 5, Snell at the 3, Snell touchdown! Matt Snell in the end zone on a wide sweep to the left as the Jets have drawn first blood.
With a score of 7-0 late in the second quarter, the Colts still had plenty of time to strike back. Quarterback Earl Morrall, who was bewildered by the Jets' defense all day, tried to turn the tables with a trick of his own.
Earl Morrall handed off to Tom Matte. Tom Matte started a sweep to the right, then stopped and lateraled the ball back to Earl Morrall. Jimmy Orr was going down and making it look like a running play, and then was supposed to get open in the corner of the end zone. Well, he was open in the corner of the end zone, but when Earl got the lateral back from Tom Matte, he could not find Jimmy Orr in the corner of the end zone. The band was down there, and they were ready to come out onto the field at halftime, and the background of the band seemed to be such that Earl just couldn't find Jimmy, who was standing in the end zone waving to him wide open. So Earl instead made the decision to throw the ball down the middle of the field to Jerry Hill, but the Jets came up with their interception, which killed our opportunity to get a touchdown on the board before halftime. It was a big play in the game.
It sent the Colts into the locker room wondering when their big play would occur. But Namath remembered a different play early in the third quarter.
If there was a turning point, I thought Ralph Baker's tackle and fumble recovery in the first series of downs in the second half solidified our confidence as a unit. We got the ball right away, and Jim Turner kicked a field goal for us, put us up by 10 points. When we got up 10-0, we felt even more confident at that time than any other time in the game.
And the Colts were quickly losing confidence.
We didn't do the things that were necessary to win a Super Bowl game. We were finally able to generate a drive that scored a touchdown, but that was too little too late.
The Jets made good on Joe Namath's guarantee, and while they rejoiced in their victory, the Baltimore Colts reeled from the shock of unexpected defeat.
Well, that was the worst day in my professional playing career.
It was probably the most miserable time in my life.
This had to be the biggest disappointment because of the magnitude of the loss. Because I didn't want to be the first team to lose to the upstart American Football League.
These upstarts achieved the upset that changed the course of football. Their victory was shared by the entire AFL.
You can't imagine the feeling that I had being a part of the American Football League to see the Jets defeat the Baltimore Colts, because I was sitting in the stands and all around me were people cheering for the National Football League. And I was the lone voice there, and they kept saying how strong that they were. And I sat silent. The first quarter, the second quarter, they were telling me, you know, how Baltimore's going to come back and how we were the inferior league. And then about the fourth quarter, I finally stood up and said, well, how do we look now against the great NFL?